Do you want to do our intro before we get sidetracked?
Again, yes. I already hit record 23 minutes ago, so I don't care.
I know. It's fine.
I do, honestly, in the first 45 minutes that we record before we even get started, I end up pulling a solid chunk of reels from that because we're just fucking left and right punch, just go, 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 go. And we typically have some pretty funny shit.
Because we're hilarious.
It's true. Okay. Welcome back, guys. This is the what? Oh. Already hitting it off. Welcome back, guys. I am Sarah.
And I'm Erica. And this is Living Understaffed, the podcast about not having enough hands or hours and when your best just isn't very good.
You fucked it up that time too. It's okay. Just go. I don't this is who we are. We are living understaffed, and it's 100% this week.
Aside from our joint understaffed where we recorded an entire fucking episode and it didn't upload, so we have to do it all over again.
I can't talk about it. Let me tell you.
Sarah, how are you understaffed?
We have mentioned this a couple episodes ago that I feel like I have everything together. You know, my job's going really well right now. My personal life is pretty great. There's all these things, I have my friends, I have my social life, I have my projects. I feel very productive on a regular basis. So I feel like I'm contributing to society as regular adults should. I'm also contributing to my own mental health because I have my creative outlet. I have my workouts. I have friends. I have hiking. I'm still getting outdoors and getting that vitamin D because we are all houseplants and we have to have vitamin D. So and getting vitamin D, the other one. So I had to. Like I said a couple episodes ago, I feel like all of the things are going in the direction they're supposed to, and the wheels are turning appropriately. There's no crash happening. But because of that, because everything is together and I deal with anxiety on a regular basis, I feel like I'm forgetting something where I'm like, how is it that I have felt like my vehicle is going 200 miles an hour on the highway and there's a tire about to blow for months at a time? And, at the time, I feel fine and I feel like my car is driving at a reasonable speed and there's no tire that's about to blow. But in the back of my head, there's a little something that's kind of blinking saying, but you forgot something. You had to have forgotten something. Things can't be going this well because you forgot something. So then I mentally go through these lists. I actually wrote down a list a couple of different times because I was like, what if I am forgetting something and it's some crucial, I'm fucking forgetting to pay my car payment or something. What is happening? And there's nothing. I cannot figure out what it is. But the impending, the cloud that seems to be following me around, which again, there's a lot of us that deal with anxiety and depression, and it's, kind of an ongoing battle. I felt like something was coming. I felt like something was happening, that I was gonna crash, that my tire was going to blow out, whatever fucking analogy you want to use for this. It felt like something was going to happen. And again, nothing really manifested itself except I left work early. I had I'm wearing glasses today, which I absolutely hate. Something happened with my contacts on Friday. I think there's a tear in the one contact. And so I was at work for a long time and I was like, I just got to make it to 4:00. I'm going to make it to 4:00. Torn contact, eye super irritated, and then I'll go home, take out my contacts, and I'll just wear my glasses all weekend. And I got home. Well, first of all, I left work early because I was like, I can't. I went to my supervisor. I'm like, I can't do this. My eye hurts so much. And it looked like someone had punched me in the face. My eye was super swollen. My eye was red as shit. So I asked her to go home early. She let me go home. I came home, took the contacts out, fucking doused both of my eyes in eye drops and shit. And I came home and I slept. And my sleeping, when I woke up, I realize like this week my sleeping schedule has been absolute garbage. Like I'll come home, it started happening on Tuesday, and we had a shorter week because of the fucking holiday. So like I came home on Tuesday and I immediately took a nap because we've talked about this on how many episodes. We both love naps. And so I came home, I took a nap, and instead of a typical 1.5, 2 hour nap, I slept from like 5 to midnight. So I woke up at midnight and I was no longer tired. So then I'm awake all fucking night. I went to work. I was not necessarily, because I really like my job. So I wasn't necessarily a zombie, but I was definitely slowed down. And it happened again, like, because I was so tired. I got home from work and I was like, I just got to stay awake. I just got to stay awake. I fell asleep at my desk. Like I put my hand like this and I fell asleep like that on the desk. And not only that, because also when you wake up from that, your body hurts because I'm in my 30s. And like, Jesus. But I fell asleep and it was maybe 5:30 and I slept until 10:30. Like this. I mean, my head was down like this by the end of it, but what the fuck? So then my body really hurt. And then I was like, all right, I'm going to take a sleeping pill at 10:30 at night, which is not an actual sleeping pill. It's a magnesium supplement. And I found that really helps. I'll even link it in the show notes because I found that it really helps me with my sleeping. But I even took 2 of those at 10:30 and I could not fall back to sleep. I was in bed. I even forced, because normally I have to fall asleep also with like noise or TV or something on like dim. Like I just need something because anxiety, and like I'll be in my head and I could not sleep. So I ended up calling in sick to work on Wednesday and I slept all fucking day. So long story long, Friday when I woke up from the nap after coming home early, it dawned on me that like my sleep schedule this week has been garbage for no apparent reason. Like I didn't wake up with like crippling anxiety. I didn't wake up with like, oh my God, I remembered what I forgot. Oh shit. Like it was not anything like that. And then I look around the room, and even right now, like this is fucking terrible, but I have laundry all over the place, dirty and clean. I know my bathroom, like the sink and stuff, I haven't cleaned up in a while, like maybe a week. And like every time I come home, I see my bed, and I am one thing I love about my personality is I make my bed. Like that's, my bed has to be made. And like it never used to, it was like that for a while. And then like, I don't know, halfway through my marriage, I was just like, man, fuck it. Like whatever. But like now, like making my bed is just like one of those little things that I do in the morning. And so I look at my bed and I'm like, oh my God, that just looks delicious. And I'm going to take a nap. Like I'm going to peel back my freshly made bed, crawl in there and take a nap. And so I know, I don't know how to explain it. Like I know, oh my God, don't cry on a fucking podcast. But like I know I'm going through something and I can't. Fuck. Ugh, son of a bitch. Like I know I'm going through something and I still can't pinpoint what it is. And like, I don't know. Like I don't have the answers. So understaffed for sure, you know. So this week has just kind of been a struggle, and it didn't really manifest emotionally until this morning. Erica and I, we always get online and we bullshit for like 30 minutes, sometimes an hour and a half before we record the actual episode. And this time, like, and I've, been fine most of the week, but then she asked me, how are you? And I just want to fucking lose it. So thanks for asking about my week, buddy. It's terrible, and I don't know why.
Terrible. Thanks for asking. So we have this wellness program at work, and I had my like in processing or whatever with her, and she was talking to me about stuff. And one of the things she said, and my therapist has said this to me too, like, you can't go around it. There's no way around it. You just have to go through it. Because you and I are very similar in that we're like, but why am I feeling these feelings?
Mm-hmm.
But why though? And like sometimes the why is not important, or the why is not like what's important is that you've been avoiding the feelings for so long, and now that you have one spare second a day, you are feeling these feelings, and that is super difficult because that happens with me with anxiety all the time, because I'm like, why am I so anxious? And I don't have any reason to be anxious. I'm just
Yeah.
like, what is happening? I hate it. Because I'm also like that. I also am like, oh, emotions. I'm gonna take them.
See, and I don't feel like I am an emotional person in general. And I don't know, like again, I don't know what the source is, what the root cause is of this current weather system that surrounds me. I don't there and I can't think of literally anything that would cause it, but here I am, emotional as hell and trying to figure it out. And like again, on that previous episode that we discussed, that I was like, dude, everything is good. I think that everything has been, and I'm going to use a stupid vehicle analogy again, but everything in my life for months, sometimes years at a time, is that vehicle going 200 miles an hour down the road. And you know that a tire is going to blow out. You know you're going to hit something. And so I finally get to a point that, like, it's not that. It's almost the opposite of that, where I'm just driving like a normal fucking person and everything is going okay and that vehicle is being maintained and it's fine. And I think man, we're getting to some psychoanalysts here. Like I think me being okay might have like freaked out my brain. And that's why I'm like, I need to find a cause of what did I forget? I need to find what it is that I'm missing, when really it could be that nothing's missing and my brain, my nervous system freaked out because everything is okay. Ugh. And it's
I'm also really bad at being okay. I'm very bad at being okay.
and that's the thing is like, and you felt it, I felt it, listeners. I know I have conversations with people on a weekly basis that feel the same thing, that they're like, everything's not okay, but we're managing. And that's, you're on survival mode at that point. And it's like, you don't realize that you're on survival mode for so fucking long because that's your norm. That's your day to day. That when your survival mode goes into just existing and living, you're like, well, what are we doing? Why isn't my brain on fucking 200 miles an hour like it's supposed to be? And then, so, oh my God, I think we're figuring this out like while recording.
Real time.
What's great is it is a great feeling to not be so manic all the time. But why is my brain attacking itself? I should be okay. I should be ecstatic that things are okay. And here I am.
It's the drama.
I wish it wasn't funny. I don't want to be funny in this moment. God. Oh, so yeah. I mean, it's, yeah. Can we stop talking about me for a second? Can you tell me how your week has been? Please, for the love of God.
Yeah, it's significantly less meaningful, I guess. I
Fuck off.
Well, you're like, wow, I'm going through like a 2/5 life crisis, and I'm over here like, I had to figure out how to do background checks for our volunteers, and it took a really long time, and it was annoying.
Well,
um,
I'm going to call you out for a second because what was it, Thursday or Friday? I asked you how you were doing and you said, hold on, Thursday. I text you a couple of funnies because yes. And
yeah.
I said, how are things going? And you said that you had a meeting with your wellness person and things have been kind of emotional. But
Uh-huh.
what you said was just a lot of things happening really close together. And then I said, okay, anything I can do to help? And you said, no, I'll be okay. I didn't realize I had shut down a bit until you had asked.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I also do this thing where I'm like, wow, that was awful. And then I just shut it out of my brain completely and I don't think about it. Yeah. So I definitely just, when a lot of things are happening, and right now a lot of things are happening with my job, not bad, and also like some personal stuff, and I just want to take care of those things. So I'm just like, I do much better emotionally if I have a next step. So if I can just focus on the next step and then the next step,
Absolutely.
then I'm
Yeah.
okay. Um, the problem with that is that the things that I have to do for my mental health, like go to dance and go outside and touch grass
Yes.
and have a routine, and all of those things sort of fall by the wayside if they're not, and those things I have to do to like maintain. Like I take medication too, but if I'm not doing those things, then I'm not going to be doing as well as I could.
Mm.
And the hard part is when I stop doing those things, I have a hard time getting back on track. So, and again, and part of that for me is like reaching out to my friends because I'm a very social person. Um, but like I just sort of stop doing any of the outside things and just focus on the things that need to be done.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of my week this week of just, and I also get into like I get into my head a lot, like of all of the things that I need to do or I could be doing or whatever. I think that's part of just like where I am in my life right now. But it's just hard and it's a lot and it's not hard the way I'm used to things being hard. Like you can't, like the wellness person was like, you can't go around it. You have to go through it. And I think I've spent a lot of time like avoiding things, or I'm like, oh, I'll just be busy, or
I hate
I'll
that answer
I'll do
so
all of
much.
these other things to
Yeah.
maintain my wellness. And then it's like, well, sometimes you just feel emotionally like shit and there's nothing you can do about it. In fact, it's good to do it. And I'm like, no. I feel the same way whenever um various therapists have been like, okay, like let's address your trauma. And I'm like, no, thank you. I would rather focus on things like, how do I get up in the morning without spending an hour being distracted by other stuff? These are the things that I want to work on that are affecting my life right now. And they're like, the trauma is affecting your life right now. I'm like, yeah, but I don't have time for that. I don't have the emotional wherewithal to handle that right now. I would rather just not deal with it, deal with these things
Right.
first.
And that's part that's so difficult because therapy has helped me with like, and I did the same thing when I first started. Like my therapist in Germany was incredible and I'll never forget her. Christian, if you ever listen to this, you are the real MVP. Like I have a lot of things to thank you for that I don't think I've ever thanked you for. For her, I initially went there because of issues in my marriage and what was beautiful is she also is this strong, very go-to proud woman. So she's like, you know, yes, you're coming to me with these issues and I will help, but we're also going to work on you because you are here, not the two of you. You are here. So I'm like, oh, fine, you know. So like the great thing is having that understanding of like, she's going to give me tools to use now, and then over time we're also going to work on, you know, these other things of like like gratitude. Gratitude was the very first assignment. And for those of you that, you know, have kind of been with me on my own like healing journey and that kind of thing, I actually published a self-guided journal through Amazon. And so and it all stemmed from this therapy. So her very first assignment for me was gratitude. And every single day I had to write down 5 things that I was grateful for right before bed, because that's part of the psychology. And it had to be 5 different things every day. And buddy, let me tell you, the first 6 weeks of having to do this stupid fucking assignment every fucking day, I was so bitter about it because I was like, I'm so grateful. I am a grateful human being. I am so grateful. Like, I've been able to do so many things in life, and I've been able to get through some pretty traumatic things, some pretty horrific childhood things. And I am this amazing person, and I am so cool, and I like give back to the community, and I give to other people, and I do all these things, these selfless things. But like now I'm in the process of like working on me, and I want to be just a little bit more selfish so that I can still take care of me, you know? I'm very grateful. But having to write down 5 different things every day was like, I was very sarcastic in the beginning. I was like, I'm grateful for this coffee cup because it is a vessel of caffeine into my veins. Thank you very much. I'm grateful for the bed that I sleep on because I paid for that fucking bed frame, and it's gorgeous and it's beautiful and it's pine and I love it. Thank you. And then I would stop because I'm like, well, I'm grateful. Having to like pinpoint 5 things. And I'm telling you, the first 5 to 6 weeks was absolutely a struggle. But getting to that point and doing it every day and making it a habit, writing down, physically writing, not typing, because there is a benefit to your brain when you're physically writing things down. And we live in the age of technology. Erica and I talked about this in the last episode. We both have fucking notebooks for fucking days. I have a notebook for 17 different things going on in my life right now. And my favorite one is the podcast one, for the record, because it's like neon and it's adorable. But it's like writing those things down plays a game with your brain. Like it's part of the process. Then if you're writing down the things that you're grateful for right before bed, you actually start to kind of like dream about those things and kind of manifest the things that you're grateful for while you're sleeping. And then in the morning, you wake up with a better sense of self, with a better sense of the things that you are grateful for. And it starts to change the anatomy of your brain over time. And let me tell you, that was, oh God, I'm going to cry. That was I started to see her after he cheated on me again. 2018, I think, maybe 2019. And I still do it today. I still write down. Now, have I repeated things this many years later? Of course I have. But there are things that there are new things every week that I'm grateful for. It's either a person I met, a conversation that I had, the podcast stuff, a specific thing that we talk about. You know, like there are different experiences that I have every week that I am grateful for that I can write down that are brand new. But then there's renewed sense of gratitude where like driving, road tripping. I haven't road tripped for a while, right? So then last weekend, I went on a little drive by myself, music playing, scream singing, windows down, and I wrote that down as one thing that I'm grateful for because it's been a minute since I've been on like a good road trip. So I'm like, hell yeah, you know? But those things, those types of little like assignments to help you right now is basically what saved my mental health. So that was kind of a long tangent, but point being, like, that journal that I published has a section in there every day for 5 things that you're grateful for because of what I went through. And I know that it works to a very, very extensive level because it's helped me so much, you know? So and like I said, I was very bitter in the beginning and I was like, this isn't gonna fucking work. So maybe that's why it took 6 weeks for it to really kick in, or combination of how depressed I was or how stuck I felt or how, you know, whatever I was going through at the time. 6 weeks is a long time. And being consistent is very hard for somebody with anxiety and depression that you just want to sleep all day, every day. Or you stay awake for days at a time because your anxiety is so, So here we are.
Yep.
Which it is beautiful in and of itself. Like, Erica and I both deal with those mental health struggles. And so us having a project that we do have to stay consistent on, having this beautiful friendship that and you know how it is with friendships, like, you choose to be friends with somebody, relationships, whatever, like, you choose to be in contact with that person on a regular basis. It is a choice, but like, we have this beautiful friendship and now we have a podcast, we have this side creative thing, and it does take work, it does take effort, but like, this is also a consistent thing that helps my mental health. So it is also a give and take because we, you know, I don't know, we haven't recorded since then, but last week we found out that our pod got rated with Good Pods in the top 100 for, it's like number 14 for indie relationships and number 17 for just relationships. And that, you guys, like, it's so cool to know that we get ranked anywhere, you know, and Good Pods is Good Pods is incredible. They really help indie podcasts get seen a little bit more than some of these podcasts that are represented. And it's a really, really cool feeling to only really be doing this consistently for about 6 months, barely 6 months. And
barely.
When really we started this project in December of 2023, like, it's fine. But it's still, you know, having something that brings our friendship together a little bit more, rather than us being like, oh, I'm going to find the time to have a phone call with my friend. This is also very helpful. So I'm glad that, like, Living Understaffed is in the position that it's in, even if we never get ranked again, even if we never, you know, make it, even if we never, like, whatever. The fact that you and I have this project and we are friends and we have this relationship between us, that in and of itself is something that I've been grateful for a million times in the last 6 months. So gratitude plays a big role in it from a mental health perspective, and I can't harp on it enough. So thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Oh, yeah.
Sarah, I love you. You are great. You're one of my best friends, and I'm so thankful for you.
Don't fucking make me cry. Oh, fuck. I can't.
Also, I've been planning our trip to Nashville. I don't know when it's going to happen. I'm a planner. I don't know if you want to plan it. I already started. I will be sending you links shortly.
Listen, Daddy, you plan it, I'll be there.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Damn it.
If it makes you feel any better, everything else I have is pretty funny. So
good. Clearly I need it.
Right. So this episode, the last couple of days, I went down a internet rabbit hole because things that I love are like weird historical misinterpretations or things that people thought that are just totally wrong now. And one of those things I was thinking about was like, especially recently. There's a lot of things that I sort of dug up that I thought that just like, led to another thing to another thing. And it's just so fucking hilarious to me.
Okay.
I was talking about like, because you and I talked about like spinsters and how that is a term for unmarried women. And I was like, I wonder what other ones there were. And then I went down this entire fucking rabbit hole of hilariousness that's going to take us on a journey.
Tell me.
So there weren't that many that I could find. My favorite though was a thornback, which is a sea skate with thorns on their back because apparently a woman over the age of 25 who was unmarried was odious, which is one of my favorite words. But I'm like, yes, 25 is the age. You're just over the hill at that point. Give up now.
I feel attacked.
I know.
Wow.
Right? I was like, first of all, also it is the reason why it's called a thornback is because skates. I think they're related to like sharks or something. Yeah, I'm like, that's fine. Compare me to a sea creature that you don't want to talk to. Excellent. Move on.
Odious
Maid was another one where
Oh,
odious is one of my favorite words.
Old maid. God.
Old maid, it was like every time I was looking at how did this come about? It was essentially a bunch of dudes being clever because it's just like old and then like a maid being like a young virgin essentially. And they're like, get it? Ha ha ha. And I'm like, this isn't even clever. Why do we still use this?
Let's get real.
I mean, I don't. The last time I said old maid, I was playing old maid with my sisters when I was a child. So, but still.
Let's get real though.
I'm gonna start calling it Thornback.
Thornback is fabulous. But on a very real level, how many phrases like old maid have been created by men who thought they were clever since the existence of human beings?
So many.
Nope. This is a hill that I will
or just
die on.
Phrases in general.
Agreed. Like I said, this is a hill that I will die on, and I can't have this conversation. We are already an hour into recording, and it will be 7 p.m. by the time I'm fucking done. So we can't. Erica will leave and like go shopping and go grocery shop. Like she'll leave and go somewhere with Nolan, and my ass will still be on this fucking recording. Like, listen, no, we can't. No.
There are definitely things that I get on my soapbox about, so don't worry. And this led me to like, why is this so like what like history? Like, why is this like this? So I went deep into like medical history.
Ooh, okay.
So like Hippocrates and Plato and I don't know if it's Pliny or Pliny the Elder. He has some of the most hilarious remedies for stuff. I couldn't find anything because there's like they published like the book, like he had kept a journal for like, oh, you have infected nose hair, do this. And it's like vinegar that's exactly 37 days old mixed with pigeon shit and you smear it on the nose hair and that will get rid of it kind of stuff. Like absolutely ridiculous. So I tried to find some of those, but I couldn't. But I was like, what did they actually think? They thought the uterus wanders around the body and causes physical and medical problems. So they just thought your uterus was just wandering around and that was the problem. If it would just stay still, women wouldn't have all of these crazy women problems. It's all down to the uterus. Hippocrates also referred to like women's bodies as their flesh being spongy and loose, which I was like, are you attracted to women at all? If you're gay, just say that.
Spongy and like
spongy and loose.
Disgusting.
And apparently that's why we have periods, because we just have all the extra fluid that makes us spongy and loose. I know. I know. It's like, ugh.
I don't even have a response for that.
Also, I know. And then I was like, okay. And I seem to remember hearing like, you know, like pop history stuff of like how vibrators were invented. And it was a French physician. I'm not going to try and pronounce his name, but he was like the first one to sort of like popularize it. And he brought in this case study of a nun. I'm going to quote the article because it's hilarious. Presented a case study of a nun with apparent hysteria who was cured by a well-meaning barber who took it upon himself to pleasure her. I was like, what? Yeah, I mean, and hysteria, I think we all know, like, was this term that started by the ancient Romans, by like Hippocrates and stuff, and just used to describe women's problems, which I have PCOS. PCOS is used like that a lot. Like there's like, you can have, because it's polycystic ovarian syndrome. I don't have cysts on my ovaries, but I still have PCOS because I have, and they can't find a hormone imbalance, but I can't get pregnant. So they're like, you have PCOS. And I also have insulin resistance. So it's like, do I actually have it, or do you just not know?
Yes.
And if you look at like the symptoms of hysteria, it's like sleeping too much, having abundant and clear urine, crying, headaches. It's like, what?
This is a Friday afternoon for me.
Being spirited.
Stop. Oh.
I'm not kidding.
Being spirited. Well, my bad, dog. This is my whole fucking life. Wow.
Yeah, and I have, when I was in college, I wrote several papers on it, specifically how hysteria affected women in, like, with their mental health, because for a really long time, all the way up to like the late 1800s, all your husband had to do is be like, she's crazy, and you would be put in a mental institution until he decided to get you out,
or heavily medicated.
and it could be for anything.
That was what was it? The super popular use of Dilaudid for hysteria, or for the plethora of women issues. Dilaudid, are you kidding? I read, wow, it was mercury and arsenic were also used for period cramps, inflammation, and then also like syphilis and gonorrhea. Arsenic?
Yes.
I cannot.
Also, I think you heard about, this is one that I'm going to keep short and sweet because I'm just going to get filled with rage, is our study came out on, it was like 140 different brands of tampons, and all of them contained heavy metals.
What?
Some of them had other things also, like arsenic. And the reason why this is such a big deal, I mean, it's bad anyway. It's bad anyway. also, until I think the first testing on menstrual products like pads or tampons that were done with actual menstrual blood weren't done until like 2 years ago. So there's also that. They were using saline, which everyone knows. Every menstruating person knows that those are not the same consistency at all, even a little bit. So anyway, and also the issue with like your skin is that things can get absorbed directly into your bloodstream and they don't go through your liver like they would if you like ate something. So it's a really big deal. So yeah, women's health still is not taken as seriously as it should be. But anyway, at least it's not, we can't get admitted into mental hospitals anymore. But one of the ways that this was sort of like taken, especially in France, is they're like, oh, if women have depression, just give them orgasms, which I am behind. This is one of the few times men just like seeing what sticks. That is one time I'm like, okay, see, I can get behind that.
I am 100%. I am 100% a supporter of this remedy. Please and thank you. Multiple would be super. And then if that doesn't work that day, try again.
Yeah. Yeah. I was reading, some doctors just had a circuit of like Victorian women. They would just go to her house and then her. That's why it was invented, because his finkies would get tired.
I am. Okay.
Although, first of all, I'd like to know how long he's doing this with his finger. Like, if it takes you a really long time.
Okay.
How good are you?
Okay, but we all know every vagina is different, right? Some women,
that's true.
Digital works just fine and it works within minutes. Some women, digital does not work within minutes, and there's,
that's true.
Other techniques that need to be involved. Also, for someone who deals with anxiety and depression and oppression, well, here we are.
Also,
but someone who deals with that, my techniques for my orgasms change on a regular basis. Sometimes there's Old Faithful. Do I have a sex toy that is my Old Faithful? Yes, I do. But with someone, and it also, I'm going to get on my soapbox for a minute. It also depends on the person that you're with. Because
that's true.
And I can't. This is one area that I will not bash men on. Every man has a certain set of skills, we'll say, right?
Yes.
And you have to learn each other. You have to learn those things. So for our beautiful man population, I'm going to throw out a piece of advice, because God knows mansplaining and men giving women advice happens 1,700 times a day. You need to stop and listen to my piece of advice for you. If you are trying to please your person, you have to put in effort and try a couple of different things until you find what works for them, not just what works for you. So if you've been with a woman that she really likes her bean to be fucking like tortured, the next woman might not like that. So,
you need multiple techniques in your toolbox, is all we're saying.
Thank you. This episode, we're going to have to work in like soapbox as part of the fucking title, because we've already been on like 7. And I'm stepping down because this one is, anyway. Do continue.
I knew you would have commentary. Hysteria was in the DSM all the way up till 1982.
Wow. That's... Wow.
That was 8 years before I was born. Very upsetting. Yeah, it was widely assumed that women's genitals controlled their behaviors and emotions. Can we talk about the irony about that for just 1 second? Really?
Oh, I can't. The things I want to say out loud are mean and hateful, and I'm holding back.
I know. Yeah, and this one of the articles that I was reading, because I was reading a lot of them, it was essentially like anything that men found mysterious or unmanageable about women was lumped up under hysteria. That is like obviously not a fact, but the opinion of the person writing the article. But the differences in how it was presented, like even the same person, even going back to the ancient Romans, like Hippocrates and Plato and Pliny the Elder, I don't know which one it is. They would contradict themselves all the time on how things were supposed to be treated or their like understanding of it. And it was just sort of like how they felt, which makes sense back then because that's how they felt about everything. But then when you're talking about the 1980s and they're like, they don't understand. Like, if you go into a doctor's office and it has like, you know, like it's like, oh, the female anatomy of like the uterus and the ovaries and stuff, the clitoris is not there. Why? I first heard that. I was like, I heard it on like a podcast or something. And I'm like, there's no way. And now I look. I like anytime they have the like anatomical, like a poster or the actual thing, I check and I'm like, why is it not there?
I don't even know.
This is ridiculous.
I don't even know what to say to that. I don't. I have no response for that.
And I also have a lot of like, because I dealt with infertility and stuff, I've just learned a lot about it, but also how much is not known about it. Like there's so much. So they were like, you have undiagnosed infertility. And I'm like, what does that mean? They're like, well, you have PCOS, which, by the way, sometimes PCOS can impact your fertility and sometimes it can't, which is yet another thing that is just sort of who knows. But they're like, we don't know why. We just don't know, which at the time was really hard to hear. And now I'm less concerned about it. But like, oh, why is there so much known about men's bodies and hormones and how they're affected and not like women's bodies and how they're affected? And again, I was reading about this, like going through like the lens of history, like how things were interpreted in history. And one of those things was like the historical figures that you learn about. Like I think we all sort of, or at least I did, you learned about Walt Whitman and you're like, okay. And like,
yep.
Oscar Wilde.
Mark
But
Twain.
you don't, but yes. And then, but also there's a lot of like some things were sort of like glossed over, like Achilles and Patroclus. It's like, if you read the story, you're like, oh, they could have been just best buds. However, you usually don't request that your ashes are mixed together in the same urn so you can spend eternity together. That's not something you just do with your best friend. So can we
discuss this?
Be kind of real about it. Yes. And one of the things I was reading about, like I really love Emily Dickinson. I don't remember. One of her famous poems. I don't remember what it is. I should probably remember. But I was like, and I remember hearing about like, oh, she never got married. And the way it was presented to me in high school was like, oh, she never got married. She obviously had all these health problems or like mental health problems. And that's why she didn't get married. I'm I'm going to read this passage of a letter that she wrote to her friend. And it's going to become abundantly clear why she never got married.
Okay, I'm ready.
Never mind the letter, Susie. Okay. Never mind the letter, Susie. You have so much to do. Just write me every week. Let it be one line. Emily, I love you, and I will be satisfied. But they're just really good friends.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Super good friends.
I went so deep on this. Yeah, and I was like, and there's a lot of them that I learned later. Like, you know, Alexander the Great and Caesar and stuff like that. Like, you're like, oh, okay. But, and then you think about how many authors were, and it doesn't necessarily mean anything because there was a pretty high percentage of women that chose to be single, which again, in society, they were like, you clearly are mentally ill if you're choosing to be single. And it's like,
right. How could you not want a man in your life to make it better? Well, let's.
Exactly.
Oh. The shitty thing is it was so commonplace, as you know, for all of the literature and all of the information that we know from, you know, when writing became a thing. You know, how many female writers had to write under a male pen name because they wouldn't fucking be accepted by society? And this is slightly, I feel attacked in a certain way because my mental health and my life has drastically improved by removing a certain 200-pound male person from my life. So, like, I'm not mad about it. I live a much more fulfilling life by not being tied to a man. So that truly, that got under my skin.
Mm-hmm. And that also goes back to like our what do you bring to the table conversation, because it's like you are two people. Like, it's not just like these are my expectations and these are my standards and this is how I want to live my life. If you don't want that, great, I'll just die alone. That's actually fine.
Yes.
Or not, or whatever. And I like that, especially recently. I think like our generation, not necessarily. Our generation was like, you can get married in your 30s. And like my sister is definitely a Gen Zer, is like, I don't have to get married at all. Like, what do you like? That is not the future that I want, which is great because when I was younger, I didn't even think about that. I was like, I'm going to wait to have kids so that I can live my life first. And now I'm like, my life, I'm 34 and I don't have kids and my life is actually pretty great. So also in this economy, there are enough people.
I had a pretty serious boyfriend in high school, and my entire goal at 17, 18 was to birth 5-6 kids, have the white picket fence, the quote unquote American dream, be a stay-at-home mom, let him go off and do his thing, and I would be at home waiting for him every day. And then and I'm not saying that that's a bad dream. That's not what I'm saying. But I left for college and I basically left an abusive home and went to a university, lived in the dorms, and I felt so free, so free. And listeners, it's taken me years to be able to admit this out loud to anyone, but my first year at university was at Iowa State, and I was so pumped to be away from my childhood home. And it was only like 4 hours. It's not that it was that far, but it was just far enough that I knew that my mother couldn't just pop in. And I partied all the fucking time. I partied all the time. I got pregnant and I failed out of my first year of college. And I am not at all mad about it. I am so grateful that I experienced what I experienced and went through what I did and failed my first year of college. And I'm telling you right now that if I had the opportunity to do all of that again, I would. Every exact thing. And the whole people will come to you and be like, "Oh, but if you wanted to redo that portion of your life," and it's like, I'm standing where I'm standing right now because of everything that I've experienced in my life. And that first year of college and failing and doing the things that I did instead of focusing on my education was such a pivotal, humongously important moment of my life that allowed me to experience friendships and freedom in a sense of like, I can live my own life. And I have multiple siblings. We have one sibling who struggles with drug addiction. And I think I have an addictive personality. And so had my life not gone the way that it had, either in college or not, I can absolutely see myself having made a lot more of the wrong choices, and I would not be standing where I'm at right now. And like, it's taken me a long time to be able to admit those things out loud, to my friends and family, let alone now on a public fucking podcast. But had I not experienced that kind of failure, those kinds of decisions at 17, 18 years old, I absolutely would not be standing where I'm at right now. Absolutely not. So this conversation about like, I wanted to stay at home and have the kids and be waiting by the door for my man to come home. While that would have, I think, been a beautiful thing, my life has transformed into so much more and much more fulfilling things that I'm glad that I didn't do that. I'm glad that I branched out. I'm glad that I left and went to a university and I moved and I did all these things, and like I'm going to shut up, but like my life would be so much more different if I had just stayed in my hometown and married my high school sweetheart. Like things would be a lot different for me. And I'm glad I did what I did. I'm glad that I chose this path.
Yeah, me too. Like there are definitely points in my life where I am grateful for, and I'm glad that they turned out the way that they did. I don't necessarily want to like relive that time, but like the way that I thought my life would be when I was 22 and 27 and 32 and now I'm 34, like those are all very different versions of my life that I want. And there are definitely things that I wish I was better at, or I wish that I had started earlier, or I wish that I realized how much like I get a lot of fulfillment out of my career. Like I don't want to stay, and this happens a lot, I think, in GS, where like someone, they either are a spouse or they retire out of the military and they just sort of stay in that spot until they can retire as a civilian. And if that's what you want, like that's great. I'm not diminishing that. There's something to be said for being grateful for what you have. I'm not like that. And I didn't really realize how ambitious I was until I sort of let go of some things. Like I wanted kids for a really long time and I still want them, but I wanted to have like biological children. And now having been a foster parent, like that's how I want to be a parent. But while we were sort of like, that's what I was focusing on, was trying to have a baby. And now that I don't have that, I am so glad that I have this energy to focus on my career, because I am the first person in my family, in my entire family line ever, to be in a situation where I could live by myself without having to depend on somebody else. And I am so proud of that. Like, you know, breaking generational curses and all that stuff. Like, I'm so grateful that I have that opportunity to be that person. So, and if you had gone back in time and told 25-year-old me or 22-year-old me that this is what my life would be, I would be shook and heartbroken, and I wouldn't understand how I could be fine with the life that I have now. So I'm going to get off my soapbox now, but I'm just so like, we're talking about gratitude and I wasn't really sure what I was grateful for, but I just listed a whole bunch of things. Like, I'm really grateful for the person that I am, and I did not have that. And I don't think I would still feel this. I don't think I would feel the way that I feel right now if my life had gone differently at any of those pivotal moments in my life.
So this conversation entirely reminds me of a poem that I found probably last year. There's a lady that I work with that her and we're very much the work besties, that like when she's struggling with the people that she works with or personal stuff, she comes into my office and we talk, and that's like, you know, one of our 15-minute breaks. And same thing, like I bitch about stuff all the time to her, and she's my sounding board, and she's wonderful. But last year I had found this poem and I really liked it. And then at one point I had actually sent it to this friend at work because she was going through some personal things. And the conversation came up a lot, like during my divorce, of like, you've changed so much. And I'm like, we got married 10 years ago. Of course I've changed. Like, of course I've evolved. Of course, you know? And so that conversation kind of came up with my friend and her husband. And then I remembered this poem, and it's, to love someone long-term is to attend 1,000 funerals of the people they used to be. The people they're too exhausted to be any longer. The people they don't recognize inside themselves anymore. The people they grew out of. The people they never ended up growing into. We so badly want the people we love to get their spark back when it burns out, to become speedily found when they are lost. But it is not our job to hold anyone accountable to the people they used to be. It is our job to travel with them between each version and to honor what emerges along the way. Sometimes it will be an even more luminescent flame. Sometimes it will be a flicker that disappears and temporarily floods the room with a perfect and necessary darkness. You can't...
Send that to me, please.
I will. But like, you can't be the same person that you were 10 years ago, 2 years ago, 2 days ago. You might have learned something, experienced something, met someone that has changed your perspective, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
There is nothing wrong with that. So I love this conversation. It reminded me of that, so I have to share.
No, that was great. I also have a lot of like poetry books in my house. I was going to talking about transitioning into our book recommendations.
Hell yeah.
Right now I'm reading We Could Be So Lucky by Cat Sebastian. She wrote We Could Be So Good. She also wrote A Soldier Scoundrel, the book that I was standing over in one of our earlier episodes. Excellent
a couple
books.
of our
Read them.
previous episodes.
Yes. But there is a book of poetry written by Megan Fox, like the actress. And it's called Beware of Pretty Boys, I think. Pretty Boys are poisonous.
Oh, done and done.
And it is so good. It is so good. Even if you're not that into poetry, they're pretty short, but they're just like, you know, when someone said something and you're like, oof, like that got me.
That
like
hit.
that is so fucking relatable. All of them are like that. They're so good. They're so good. In there. So I found one of the poems and it's so caveat. I love tragedy. Everybody knows this. This shit right here, I love so much. All these tears I cried for you, oceans of grief. My chest aches, but I can never excise it. Because you are the hurt. Fated like Prometheus, chained to the rock, I offer my heart to you every morning. And like the insatiable eagle, you return every day to gleefully consume it. And then you fly away, leaving me bound and bleeding in agony, the impressionable offering to love something so much.
That's delicious.
I know. And I mean, I can only read like 3 or 4 at a time before I'm like, I can't. This is too depressing, even for me. Like,
yes.
Lovely, delicious. Love that for me. However, but no.
Yeah, there's
like,
only so much I can
excellent,
take.
Highly recommend. Yeah, but it's so good. I also love Greek tragedies. So like there's a lot of metaphors and I love it so much.
There's this is also why I read multiple books at once because one will be pure unadulterated heartbreak that is just you're so like pulled into the beautiful story that it is, but like I can only take so much. And then I'll be reading this, you know, spicy romance where it's like, yes, please, daddy, thank you. May I have another? And then I'll be reading a comedy of some kind. Like Chelsea Handler's book is like phenomenal. And then, you know, talking about what we're currently reading, what I started listening to in audio is a book called Becoming Supernatural. And it's how common people are doing the uncommon. So I've gotten really, I've been in a rabbit hole of my own in ancient civilizations and research done behind behind DNA testing, where, you know, if we're talking about if it's possible that supernatural creatures are real and have been a part of our planet for thousands and thousands of years, you know, there's these supernatural beings where we're talking about the Anunnaki or, you know, Greek culture and like how did they build the pyramids and all of these things, right? Stonehenge, where did it come from? Blah, blah, blah. There's DNA testing going on that allows for one single piece of your DNA and it holds information. And so one single piece of your DNA can hold 10 terabytes of information. And so when you're talking about becoming supernatural, there's research being done on how can your DNA hold information, but then on the flip side of that, how can we tap into that DNA with that knowledge, with that information? So this is actually by a Dr. Joe Dispenza, and he's done several studies and workshops and things around the world that these people are essentially kind of manifesting, but they're also meditating and they're kind of tapping into their own supernatural to just, you know, better fulfill their lives and trying to find different meaning in different things. And so that's what I've been listening to on audio, and it's been absolutely fascinating. So when we, you know, earlier when I talked about writing down the things that you're grateful for and it changes the anatomy of your brain, this is kind of along those lines of like different things that we can do to kind of change outlook on life, to change what our future could potentially hold, to already know that those things are going to happen So I've gotten more into that in the last like year or so. So I'm really trying to like learn and hear it from different perspectives. So yeah, becoming supernatural. I'm actually pretty excited about it. I think I'm on chapter 2. Very, very early in the book, but it's fascinating.
I'm writing that down. I'm definitely gonna read that book.
And I know we're not supposed to, but you are welcome to log into my Audible at any time because I have a lot on there.
I just have to do it. I just have to do it. I have it used to be Scribed or Scribd. It's Everand now. I'll trade these.
For sure. Yeah. I'm trying to think what else I'm reading right now. I'm still in the middle of that Ray Kennedy spicy romance that we talked about. It's like brother's best friend type of thing. I think I only have I think I only have like 100 pages left, so I'll knock that out today, which I'm pretty pumped about. I think that's it actually. Those are the two that I'm mainly into. Physical book. I'm staring at it on my nightstand because I haven't cracked it open yet, but it is the telling of what's her name? Entangled, the stepmother. It's her version of the story. And it's called Mother Knows Best.
Gothel.
Yes.
Gothel?
Yes. Sure. We're gonna pretend. But I love me some Wicked. I love Wicked so much. So I'm really glad that authors have started telling like the other side of the story. So I'm really pumped about this. And it looks pretty short. The font is pretty big. I just haven't cracked it open yet. Like I said, my sleep schedule has been garbage, and I usually read for a bit before bed. Yeah.
Me too. There is a series by Katie Roberts. She wrote Neon Gods. It was really popular for a while. Very definite. I would put it in the erotica camp. But it sort of is halfway between that and just garden variety romance. I have not read any books in this series, but she has a whole series of like fairy tale retellings that are like Captain Hook, and it's like Jafar from
Aladdin.
She has a whole series of those books, which I have been on my TBR forever. I just haven't read them. But my recommendation to you.
I'm okay with that. We have talked about this in previous episodes, and I think I want to try to implement this. Because I used to run the book club here, which was disbanded because mental health issues are a thing. And then like Erica actively in a couple of book clubs back home. And so what I want to do is maybe put it out to, our 13 listeners that each month, maybe we kind of like we used to do with Lost in the Woods, is like a different theme each month. And then this is the recommended read. And then if you and I have the time to do it, then we'll read it. And then on one episode in each month, we can kind of talk about that. Like, would you still be interested in that? Would you maybe want to try it?
One book a month I can definitely handle.
Okay. So why don't we do that? Why don't we, like your person or Mother Knows Best, let's pick that and we'll put it out on social media. And if anybody else wants to read it and send in their thoughts and stuff, we'll add it into a recording. So I think in last episode, I promised that I was going to do like an unboxing video of the care package that Erica sent. I'm going to claim asylum in this because my mental health has been in the tank. And so I opened the box and I went through everything and I like got emotional to myself and then I laid down and took a nap because that's what I do. But this care package was lovely because we do a lot of reading. And obviously we talk about book recommendations and stuff on the show. So first of all, she sent it to me in what looks like a shoebox. And when I got the package, it is very clearly damaged. And I can post some pictures in the episode. But like, also, I thought something was broken because there was like let me see if I can. Like it sounds. So when I picked it up off of my porch, I was like, oh, there's something fucking broken. There's not. She didn't put any packaging in it. So everything's just flopped around. However, there's a pin that says, I love San Juan Island Library, which I'm putting on my bag because I love it. Love your library. That's in the shape of a heart that I just stabbed myself with. Ow. But there's that. There's stickers in here, which I absolutely adore. One says, reading is cool. And then there's like a constellation with a globe and a bow on it, which is going on the back of my phone immediately. There's a body scrub. Ooh, grapefruit. I don't think I even looked at the actual body scrub. I was like, ooh, body scrub. I'll use that. Hold on. Grapefruit mandarin. I think you like know my love language because I love citrusy type stuff. That smells amazing.
Mm-hmm. And this you can only get on San Juan Island. Like they make it there. Yeah. It's very good. I get something from them every time I go home.
That's fantastic. So then the books, this one is called Assistant to the Villain by Hannah Nicole Mehrer. I'm not saying that right, I'm sure. Only the Good Die. Oh, that's why you were asking about it. Okay. The Villain. I get you. That's cool. And this one had a bookmark in it as well. I'm in my villain era. Love that. And then this one is Wolf Gone Wild, Book 1 by Juliet Cross. I don't even think I looked at the description of this, but there's a bookmark that also says Live Boldly with a little tassel on it, which I adore. And then there was something else in this one, I think. Another bookmark. Yeah. It says, I've been expecting you. Thank you so much. And then the card, which is fantastic. It says, oh God. Weirdly, the envelope is like super tight on the card. So I'm like, help. It says, you're doing great. And then on the inside, she wrote, hang this somewhere so you don't forget. XOXO Erica. I'm not going to cry a third time on the fucking episode, dude. You can't. Can't today.
I was like, I know I wrote something in that card, but I don't remember what it was. So I'm glad that it landed because I forgot. But it's true. Hang it somewhere so you don't forget.
The sticker thing I really love. I love sticker movements because my iPad is covered in them. The back of my phone says the fuckingest because I have a sheet of stickers that just has the word fuck in a bunch of different phrases. And so
yes,
the epitome that is my personality. And then the other one is a girl reading under the covers with like a sweater, and the book says romance extra spicy, and the coffee cup says slut era.
Excellent.
And then I have a what do you call it? A fortune cookie that says it's from Panda Express, and it says don't forget to say thank you. And of course we all know the old adage of in bed. So I'm like, yeah, don't forget to say thank you in bed because you're welcome.
You're welcome.
Can I just say that "you're welcome" is one of our catchphrases. We say it in a lot of episodes.
If we ever have merch, it's just going to be a picture of us saying "you're welcome."
Yes. So
I'll absolutely be that person who wears my own merch.
okay, and one thing that we've been throwing into episodes are these song recommendations. And guys, seriously, if you have a song recommendation to send us, please do that.
Send it to us on literally any platform. Please do.
What I really love is that we have this love of reading, and we can share that with the masses. Like, we can share that with a huge population of people. But the music thing, I don't want to make the podcast about music, but like, we listen to music on a regular basis, and we talk about me specifically with my mental health issues is I think, and I might make people upset with this, is I have undiagnosed ADD, and I know that, and I've been living with it for a long time. And what helps me to be productive is background noise, because if it's too silent, I can't get anything done because I'm thinking too much.
Me too.
Could be a trauma response also, but I digress. And so music recommendations is huge. On the flip side of that, with the age of social media that we are in right now, I am finding new bands and new music on Instagram, on Facebook, on TikTok on a regular basis that I binge so heavily and put songs on repeat. So Erica and I have now gotten to the point that we're sending song recommendations to each other, because that's, obviously. And the last one that you sent me is called Roll the Dice by the Fluorescents. I have had that song on repeat 10 times since you sent it to me on Friday afternoon. I love it. I have it memorized already, and I scream sing it every time. I love it. Thank you for sending it, because I love it.
You're welcome. It's one of my faves.
Obsessed.
All right, that's it for us, guys. Thank you so much for listening. We love every single one of you. Because of you, we're not potting into the void. If you have book recommendations or song recommendations, or if you just want to tell us how we're doing or give us feedback or anything like that, contact us on literally anything. We're most heavily on Instagram and TikTok, but we will find you. We will find your message no matter what.
We are also on Twitter every single day, multiple times a day. So like, we're literally everywhere. So, but I will say we're not on Threads because we're not part of that yet. Maybe we will eventually, but like, we're not there. I think that's the only one that I can really think of, but yeah, we're out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also,
anyway,
if it's possible for you guys too, feedback on, we're going to post a book on our socials. And if you've read the book, cool. I would love to hear your thoughts and whatnot, and we'll read them on an episode. Or if you want to read along with us, I'll start putting that in our socials as well. Because it's just, or if you have a recommendation, like, I love that. I love that for you. Genuine. I love that for us. Also genuine.